Hey there. So we're starting to look at the passive voice this week, all right? And the passive voice can be something that's pretty confusing for a lot of students. In order for it to be a little bit less confusing, I really recommend that you, before diving in, do a quick review of all of the verb tenses, why we use them, why we need them. The passive voice isn't a tense, it's a voice, right? So I can use the passive voice in virtually any tense. And we have a special formula for the passive voice, okay? So in part of the formula, we need to apply the tense, and then part of the formula, we just use verb 3, okay? So we're gonna do a quick review today on the verb tenses. At the very end, of this video, we're going to be converting the verb be, the base form verb be, into all of the different tenses that we need to be clear on before the passive voice. Okay, so I recommend actually watching this video before we begin before we begin chapter 10, and then probably at the end of the week, or when you start chapters 10.1 or 10.2, go ahead and watch this video again to kind of really solidify and clarify how, the meanings of all of the tenses and why we would need them in each situation, okay? So first one we're going to deal with, I know this is a review, we all studied this last semester, the simple present, right? So we use the simple present for things that happen on a regular basis, habits, routines, things that are true all of the time, okay? For example, I visit my grandmother every week, right? This is a habit that happens every single week. It's a steady truth in my life. So if we're dealing with the verb walk, we would say, for example, in the simple present, I walk, you walk, he, she, it walks, with an S. We walk, they walk. Simple, right? Here's for the verb be. I am, you are, he, she, it is, we are, or they are. All right, the simple past, right? Simple past, we talk about events that happened in the past and they're completely finished, right? There's no chance that this event is going to happen again. For example, I bought pasta for lunch yesterday. Bought is the verb to form. It's an irregular verb. You guys know if it's regular, we would add just ed, right? Like walk. I, you, he, she, it, we, they walked, right? And for all of the subjects in the simple past, it's going to be the same, except for the verb be, right? We know the verb be changes based off of the subject in the past. I was, you were, he, she, or it was, we were, or they were. Okay, the next one that we're going to look at is the present continuous, right? So these are things that are happening right now. For example, I am speaking right now, right? I'm in the middle of that activity. You are watching the video, right? You're not, you don't always watch the video. You wouldn't say, for example, I watch the verb tense review video every week or every day. You can if you want to. Start a fun new habit in your life. But for the most part, it's actions that are just true in this moment, not necessarily all the time, okay? So the present continuous, right? Actions happening right now in this moment. It's an ongoing action. This is a two-part verb, right? So you guys will remember from last semester, every time I see the present continuous, I need two things, right? What are the two things that I need? I need the verb be, conjugated to agree with the subject. So if it's I am, you are, he, she, it is, we are, they are. And then verb ing. For example, I am talking, right? You are watching. We are learning about verbs right now. For walk, it would be I am walking, you are walking, he, she, it is walking, we are, they are walking, okay? Okay, so you're going to be seeing this form. We didn't really talk about this very much last semester, but you're going to be seeing this form, the verb be in the present progressive, quite a lot when we're looking at the passive voice. So it's good to take a look at it. If I'm just using it in the regular voice, we basically use it to say that something is different than the usual, right? The example that they have, sorry, my face is covering it. It says, my little sister is being so annoying right now. I'm sure it says, my little sister is being so annoying right now. I would also say, for example, you're being really nice. What do you want? Right? So it's basically like showing that something is different from the way that it normally is, the way that I would normally expect it to be. Okay? But I know you haven't seen it a lot, but the form of be in the present progressive would be I am being, you are being, right? So be is the base form or the action verb here, verb ing. We are being, they are being, okay? All right, so even though you haven't heard it a lot, it definitely exists, and we're definitely going to use it when it comes to the passive voice, okay? We also have the past continuous, okay? So the past continuous typically we use to talk about an action that happened before now and is ongoing and was ongoing but was completely finished. And you guys know that a lot of times we use this to talk about a longer action that was interrupted by a shorter action. This is also a two-part verb, right? We have the verb be in the simple past, so was or were, right? Plus verb ing. Reem was studying when the phone rang, right? So here we have the example of a verb. Reem was studying. This is a longer action, and it was interrupted by a faster or quicker action. For walk, I was walking, they were walking, blah, blah, blah. For be, once again, I'm not going to look at the meaning of it in the past progressive is kind of similar to the present progressive when we use that. For example, my dog was being so annoying, it kept barking all night, for example, right? Maybe the dog doesn't do that on a regular basis. What I really want you to focus on is the form, okay? I was being, you were being, we were being, okay? Once again, this is the past continuous with be as the action verb, okay? Here's the example, right? Reem was studying when the phone rang. Just a little visual for you guys to remember. We've seen this so much in chapter 2 last semester. All right, also the present perfect, okay? So the present perfect, we use it for an action that started at some time in the past and it's true until now, or it continued until now, or the end isn't specified. So maybe it wasn't super important when it happened, right? More important that it happened, right? For example, if I say, oh yeah, I've been to Mexico, right? I've been to Mexico. It's not really important when I went, right? All you care about is that I have had that experience. I experienced going to Mexico. It's different than like, oh yeah, we went to Mexico for our last vacation and it was really fun. I'm talking more about a specific event, not about having the experience, okay? Once again, a two-part verb. How do I make the present perfect? What two verbs does it have? Remind me. Have or has, depending on the subject, and then verb 3, okay? So far we have had 2 classes today, right? So this action isn't totally complete, right? The day is still happening, so maybe we will have another class. The possibility is open. And we have here have plus had is verb 3. For the verb walk, right? We keep coming back to walk. I have walked, you have walked, she, he, it has walked, we have walked, they have walked. For the verb be, for example, if the action verb is be, especially imagine if we're dealing with an adjective, right? Sick, okay? I have been sick since last week. You have been sick, right? So we have or has, she has, plus the verb 3 form of our action verb. Our action verb is be, so the verb 3 would be been. Have you been, you have been, we have been, it has been. Here's just another visual for the present perfect, right? So an actions that maybe started or happened and repeated, but the possibility of this action happening is not totally complete. All right, so the past perfect, my good old friend, the past perfect. Hey, Mel. Hey, kitty cat. She wants to participate. Okay, so the past perfect, we're going to be talking about 2 actions that both happened before now. They're both completely finished, but it's important to know that one action, to tell you the order, one action, what? What do you want? One action happened before another action, right? Let's look at the example. Before I arrived to class, I had already finished my homework. So I have 2 actions, both of them are completely in the past. I arrived to class, right? And I had finished my homework. okay? What happened, which of these two actions happened first? If you said, I had finished my homework, you're correct, okay? So if we have the simple past and the past perfect together in a sentence, the past perfect is always the first action. The simple past is always the second action, okay? And a lot of times, as you guys know, we use the past perfect also so that we can get kind of fancy with the organization. If I wanted to, I could say it in a grammatically correct way, both of these actions in the simple past. I could say, for example, I finished my homework before I arrived to class, right? But you would have to say it in chronological order. You'd have to say what happened first and what happened second. I had walked, right? Okay, what do you think? If I'm dealing with the verb be, what would be the past perfect form of the verb be? Think about it. Two verbs, always had, plus verb 3 of the action verb. Been, I had been, okay? I had been sick before I went to the doctor. Just another example, right? Finished my homework, arrived to class. Before I arrived to class, I had already finished my homework. Okay, future. Our main future forms that we're going to be looking at are will and be going to, right? So for for actions that haven't happened yet, they're going to happen in the future. So we're dealing with will, right? We always have will plus base form. I will walk, or be going to. I am going to walk, right? They will take a quiz tomorrow. They're going to take a quiz tomorrow. If we're dealing with the verb be, for example, you need be with an adjective, late, right? I will be late. You will be late. I'm going to be late. It's all the same. Okay, am going to, be, will be. The action verb is going to be in the base form. We also have the present perfect continuous, right? So the present perfect continuous is an action that started in the past and continues until now. For example, I've been walking for 1 hour. We use this a lot for similar to the present perfect, but if I say I am walking, I can't tell you when that action started or how long the action has been in progress. If I want to tell you the amount of time the action has been in progress, you would say you would use the present perfect progressive or continuous. Past perfect continuous, I'm just going to tell you guys this. We're probably not going to use it when we're dealing with the passive voice. We didn't officially even study it last semester, but I know you guys are always trying to be the best you possibly can, right? So why not? Let's talk about it. So the past perfect continuous is an action that it was a continuing action and stopped before another action in the past, okay? For example, I arrived home at 3 o'clock. I started walking at 2. So you could say I was walking from 2 to 3. Or if you wanted to be extra fancy, basically, it's the same meaning. But if you wanted to be extra fancy, you could say I had been walking for 1 hour by the time I arrived home. Once again, we're not really going to use this very much dealing with the passive, but just so you know. All right, so we looked at several different tenses, past, present, and future, and perfect tenses. And we're really focusing once again on the form of the verb be in all of those tenses, because when we get to the passive voice, we're going to need to know that or need to use it, okay? So as I go through, try and guess before I give you the answer what the correct verb form is, okay? So for the simple present, what forms of be do I have? The base form is be. Simple present would be am, is, or are. I am, he, she, it is, you, we, they, are. Simple past, was, were. Present progressive, is being, are being, am being. Past progressive, was being, or were being. The present perfect, has been, or have been. Past perfect, had been. Future with will be. Future with be going to, is going to be, are going to be, or am going to be. What about modal verbs? If I'm dealing with any modal verb, we just studied modal verbs last week. the modal verb plus the base form be. For example, should be, could be, must be, had to be, ought to be. Okay? And so that's it. Once again, I recommend if you are confused about any of the tenses or about the formation of the verb be in any of the tenses, please please watch this again and feel free to contact me on WhatsApp on our group at any time, and I'd be happy to answer any of your questions. All right? All right, have a great day. Bye-bye.